first team to ever three-peat in a Super Bowl. Kansas City was the number 1 seed. They had a record of 15-2, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, who are the number 2 seed in their conference with a 14-3 record. This is a rematch of Super Bowl 57 that took place 2 years ago. That was a high-scoring, competitive game. Came down to a last-second field goal where the Chiefs won 38-35. I believe that this Eagles team may be the toughest team the Chiefs have faced in the Super Bowl in the Mahomes era. I think they're much tougher than the Tampa Bay team that beat them in the Super Bowl, which is Mahomes' only Super Bowl loss. I believe they lost that game because the Chiefs went into that Super Bowl banged up with their offensive line. I think that was a big key of that game. But I think this Eagles team is better than that Bucs team. The Eagles have only lost 3 games this year. They had a 14-3 record. 2 of those games they lost because of one-score games, but they lost because of drop passes. The first game they lost to, I believe it was the second game of the year, they lost to the Atlanta Falcons, where Saquon Barkley dropped an easy first down catch. He catches that ball, they get a first down, they run down the clock. Instead, he drops the pass. They have to settle for a field goal. It stops the clock, and then Atlanta came down with a drive and scored a touchdown to beat them in that game. And then the second game was against your team, D. Free, in a game where they had 5 turnovers, they lost, and Jaden Daniels had 5 touchdowns. But in a game that they could have won if Devontae Smith catches a first down, which he easily dropped, that would have been a first down, and they could have been on their way of running out the clock. Instead, it stopped the clock. I believe they kicked a field goal, and then Washington came back and scored a touchdown and beat them. So, 2 very close games of the 3 losses. The other loss, they lost to the Bucs. The Bucs seem to have the Eagles numbered in the last few years, but the Eagles have been great. Since week 5, the Eagles have been 15-1, including the playoffs. They've been on a plus 27 turnover margin. That's insane. And each game they've won by an average of 13.8 points. That's almost 2 touchdowns per game the Eagles have won. So this Eagle team is a good Eagles team. What do you got? What do you got on that, D. Free?
Yeah, I mean, everything you said is spot on. The only thing that I would say against that is this Kansas City team that we're seeing right now in the playoff is not the same Kansas City team that we saw during the regular season. They have gotten a lot better offensively since the playoffs started. So I think we in for some fireworks, because Kansas City can score with anybody, and we know Philadelphia can score with anybody as well. It's going to come down to the defensive line. Which defensive line is going to be the most dominant defensive line on the field? Because if Chris Jones can get to Jalen Hurts and stop Saquon Barkley in the backfield, that's going to be the key to their victory. And like I've always said, the way you stop a high-power offense is by limiting their times of touching the ball. If you can control the clock and sustain long-scoring drives and keep that other offense on the sideline, 9 times out of 10, you're going to win that game, because high-scoring teams, they like to have the ball in their hand. And it very well could come down to who has the ball last, because if Philadelphia got the ball last, and they down by 3 or they down by 6, they could very well go down and score a touchdown to win the game. The same thing with KC. If Patrick Mahomes, he's one of the few guys in the league right now that you don't want him to have the ball with time left on the clock, because he's going to find a way to get that victory. I think it's only like maybe 5 guys in the league right now as a quarterback. You don't want to leave them with time on the clock and for them to be able to score and take the win away from you. So it very well could come down to who has the ball last or who has the time of possession.
Yes, indeed, and I agree with that as well. That's one of the key factors too. We're going to get to that as well, but I'm glad you brought that up. 88 Sports Talk also brings that up. It could be Philadelphia defensive line versus the Chiefs offensive line could be one of the keys. I believe that is one of the keys as well, as D. Free also mentioned just a few seconds ago. So shout out to everybody in the chat. I see you guys. I highlight you guys as we go on throughout the show. You guys are welcome to come on and we'll talk as well. You give me your picks. Let me know any bets you guys want to make. What prop bets you like. We'll talk about all of that and break down this game as much as possible. Before the kickoff begins. I'm going to go and do some stats on the quarterbacks. And before that, let me go. I gave the Eagles breakdown on what to look out for, what they've done this year in the regular season since 2-2 record. I gave some stats. Let me go into a little bit of the experience of the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs keys, I believe, is two of the major keys is their two coaches, their head coach, Andy Reid, and then their defensive coordinator, Spags. I think they have been a big part of the Kansas City Chiefs' success. Andy Reid has tons of playoff experience. He's 28-16 in the postseason, and he's 3-2 in Super Bowls. 5 Super Bowls he's been in head coaching. This would be his 6th. The Chiefs this year, they had a record of 15-2. They're 17-2 total, including the playoffs. Now, they have been a battle-tested team throughout the season. Of the 17 wins, including the postseason, 11 of those wins have been by 1 score. And they're kind of the team that's kind of known for making the right plays at the right time, right? That's why the Chiefs win. The right plays at the right time, and then, of course, the right penalty flag at the right time, too. So a little bit mixture of what people may say luck, or some people may say of favoritism. You see, I got the little picture of the referee in the upper left-hand corner, and I got the little flag at the bottom. But, yeah, that's kind of how the Chiefs have been winning this year. Close games, making the right plays, and getting the right flags, at the right time. They also made a big play back in against the Broncos, week 9 or week 10 against the Broncos, where they blocked a field goal to win the game. Right? That was big. And the Broncos had a good year this year. They blocked the field goal and then, of course, the penalty flags. Real quick before we move on, let me break down the quarterbacks. Mahomes had a down year. A down year for Pat Mahomes, not a down year for quarterback. Most quarterbacks would still love to be in a predicament that Patty Mahomes is in. But for Patty Mahomes and his name and what he has done in his career, it's been kind of a down year. He went down in passing yards, a little bit over 3,900 passing yards. That's a down year for him. He threw like 4,000 the year before, and I think 2 years ago, close to 5,000 passing yards. He's down to 26 touchdowns this year. That's lower than last year. I think he had 28 last year. I could be wrong, but I know it's definitely lower than what he did last year. And he's been sacked 36 times this year. That's the most Patrick Mahomes has been sacked in his career. Patrick Mahomes' strength this year, obviously decision-making, right? Making the right plays at the right time. We just said it. Third down conversions. I think they lead the league in third down conversions in the league by far, the Kansas City Chiefs. So big third down plays, that's what the Chiefs do. That's what Patty Mahomes do. His weaknesses, there's not many weaknesses to Pat Mahomes, but if we got to say what's one of the weaknesses of Pat Mahomes this year, I would have to say it's been his accuracy. He's made some bad decisions at times and he's made some bad throws where he missed some throws. But like I said, it's been bad for Pat Mahomes, not bad for like a quarterback per se of his level, but for him, it's been kind of a down year for Pat Mahomes as far as accuracy. He's a -2 on completion percentage over expectations. That's not what Patty Mahomes do. So as far as Patty Mahomes do, still a top quarterback in this league, but for him, kind of a down year. Hurts is on a running team. They're by far one of the top running teams in the league. They're a run-heavy team. Hurts is, to me, in my opinion, is more of a game manager. He has a good completion percentage, but they run the ball, his scrambling is great, right? He's first in the league in expectations, a completion percentage over expectations, a +7. So that's pretty impressive, right? Making the right plays at the right time. Hurts has done that, right? So that's one of his strengths, as well as the tush push, and obviously his ability to scramble. If we had to say weaknesses for Hurts, is he takes bad sacks. The Eagles have a good offensive line, but he's taken bad sacks this year. I think he has the third lowest as far as drop back passing in getting sacked. The only two teams lower than Hurts and the Eagles have been the Titans and the Bears, and we know that Caleb Williams has been sacked more than anybody this year. So, advantage of quarterbacks, you got to go with Mahomes and the experience of Mahomes. But I think it's pretty close as far as what these teams do and their style of offensive play. So that's my breakdown pretty much on the quarterbacks. I think the major question for that as far as the quarterbacks would be, can the Chiefs stop the tush push? Because that's like it's like a cheat code. It's been impossible to stop.
Yeah. My thing on it, another thing that I'm looking at is if you real big and superstitious, the last few Super Bowl winners and last few Super Bowl games, if you pay attention to that symbol in the backfield, in the background, is the colors. The team that usually has the most of the colors on those numeral numbers is the team that wins the Super Bowl. So I'm not saying that is a foregone conclusion that Kansas City is going to win, but it just if you big on superstition, that's usually how it goes. They put those colors up there for a reason. Those are the teams that they expect to win the Super Bowl.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's a great stat. I did not know that. That's interesting. As you see, it's mostly red. And then look what Mr. Shelton says. That Trump is a Chiefs fan, so we already know who's winning.
Yeah.
And then 88 made up a fair point as well. We didn't get to the running backs yet because we know one team has a great running back. Hold on, let me go to 88's comment about who should start. He says, if I'm the Chiefs, I'm starting Kareem Hunt over Pacheco. What do you think about that? D-Free, you there? Oh, I don't hear you. He's on mute. I think you could start. I think you could start with Kareem Hunt. He's been the hotter of the two backs. Pacheco coming off the injury has not looked the same. Definitely start with the veteran and Kareem Hunt. But you got to use Pacheco as well. Pacheco still got good legs, and he's shown that he can play in the big game. So he's been there. He's been in the Super Bowl as well. So it all depends on the offensive game plan. But yeah, I agree. I think you start off with Kareem Hunt, and then you follow up with Pacheco later on. The Eagles, we already know who they have. The biggest and best free agent signing they could do that any team can make, and that's getting Saquon Barkley, who had a phenomenal year, almost broke a record this year. He always seems to find a way to score a touchdown on like a big 60-yard or 50-yard run. I think today no different. He'll find a way. If the Chiefs want to win, I think you got to contain Barkley, because Barkley is the guy you have to kind of contain if you want to have a chance of winning. If you let Barkley run wild and do what Barkley does, it's going to be a long day for that Kansas City Chiefs defense. D-Free, you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, which one do I take down? Let me see. This one. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. All right. So the other one's still up. Go ahead. So if you look at 88's Sports Talk's comment before about who the Chiefs should start, Kareem Hunt or Pacheco, what do you think? And then you could go ahead and look at 88's comment as well, right there. What do you think? I just broke down what I thought.
I think you can start Kareem Hunt if you want to. I mean, Pacheco is what they usually have the plays drawn up with him in the lineup. Kareem Hunt is a backup. I mean, he's familiar with the team. He's been with the team before, so it's not like he's unfamiliar with the team. But I think Kareem Hunt is very big in the later half of the game, because as the teams get tired, you got that burst of energy with Kareem Hunt coming off the bench, and now they got to chase him around. So if Pacheco plays well, it's going to depend on the first couple of drives. If Pacheco plays well in the first couple of drives, I think they're going to stick with Pacheco. Yes, he is coming off an injury, So he was just getting back into the running of things when he came back in the playoff or right before the playoffs. So he's not 100% all the way back. But if he starts and plays well the first couple of drives, I think they're going to stay with Pacheco and they're going to use Kareem Hunt. Like I said, they're going to use him in the second half of the game when the teams are getting tired. And then you got this burst of energy coming off the bench that's ready to break a hole because Kareem Hunt is also like a Saquon Barkley. At any given time, he can take it to the house. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's an every down back. He can play first, second, and third.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. And I mentioned that as well. Like you got to contain, you have to game plan and kind of contain Barkley. Barkley's probably going to get his and most likely, but you can't give up the big run. And that's what Barkley's been doing. He's always, the last game, I believe he closed out the game with a long 60-yard run. I think the game before that against the Rams, he did the same thing and broke a long touchdown run to kind of seal the game. He's going to get his, both in the receiving and rushing, but you can't give up the big play. You can't let him break out one, for 60 yards, right? So I think that's definitely a major key. 88 also mentioned, he said, if he's the Eagles, I'll get Goddard involved early and often, and especially on third down conversions. I agree. Goddard has been a secret weapon when healthy. He seems like he's the go-to guy, especially on the checkdowns. Like, your checkdowns is usually the tight end, falls into play. So like that's kind of like Hurts' check down guy, but definitely use Goddard as much as you can, and keep that Kansas City defense guessing.
Yeah, I agree. Goddard is one of those guys that he can beat you in the middle of the field and he can beat you down the field because most tight ends don't get down the field like that. I mean, they starting to now, but a typical tight end don't get down the field. They usually the short down receiver, but Goddard, he's one of those guys like Travis Kelce who can beat you down the field if you're not paying attention. So that is a key to their offense because I think they're going to key in on AJ and I think they're going to key in on Devontae Smith. So how you offset that is by getting your tight end and your running backs involved early.
Yeah, I agree. Josh Sanders says Barkley got a rush for 300 yards for the Eagles to win. That's crazy. You got to think that. If the Eagles are relying on that to happen, then the Eagles are going to have a long day. 300 yards, that's insane. Look at 88 Sports Talk says, damn, 300. Laugh my ass off. Let me give you some more stats as far as like Super Bowl stats for the Chiefs and the Eagles, right? Mahomes has 4 straight playoff victories when trailing at the start of the fourth quarter, which is the longest streak by a quarterback all time. So it started with the Eagles back in last year's Super Bowl. They were trailing the Niners in the Super Bowl. They came back and won in the fourth quarter. They were trailing in the beginning of the fourth quarter, came back and won. Including the playoffs, Chris Jones ranks 3rd in pass rush win rate, 15.3% among interior defenders, despite ranking 5th in double team rate, which is 70%. Wow. This will be Reed's 45th playoff game as a head coach with the Chiefs and Eagles, passing Bill Belichick for most all time. He's the first head coach to face his former team twice in the Super Bowl. Let me go some more. The Chiefs have won 9 straight postseason games dating back to 2022 postseason, which is tied for the second longest streak in NFL postseason history. The Patriots won 10 straight from 2001 to 2005. And then this is interesting. This is one of those stats that D. Free was mentioning with the Super Bowl logo, but this is the jerseys. Kansas City is wearing the white jerseys for the second time in 3 straight Super Bowl appearances, dating to Super Bowl 39 to the 2004 season. The team wearing the white jerseys has won 16 of the past 20 Super Bowls. The Chiefs wore the red jerseys in their Super Bowl 54 and 58 wins. So I'll read the Eagles in a little bit. Let's see, D3, what do you got on that?
Hey, I mean, like I said, if you big on superstition, then you probably going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs because the numbers are on their side. Andy Reid, like you said, he's the only coach to face his former team twice in the Super Bowl, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's one of two or three coaches to actually beat their former team in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, I don't know. He might know something about Philly, and say, you know what? I know this. I mean, it's not the same squad when he was there, but it's the same owner, it's the same GM. He might just say, you know what? I just know how to beat this team.
Yeah. Quick question. So who you think turns the ball over the most in this game, Mahomes or Hurts?
I think it's Hurts. Mahomes don't turn the ball over that much. He has turned the ball over this season more than he usually does. But if I had to pick between the two, I would say it would be Hurts that would turn the ball over more than Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, I would take Hurts as well. Hurts has made some silly turnovers and taken some really bad sacks in the last few games where it's just like kind of really questionable. I would say Hurts. Mahomes has like I said earlier on, he's had a down year as far as like turnovers and decision making. But when the game's on the line, he hasn't really he hasn't turned the ball over. So that's a good question. That's a tough one because Mahomes can turn the ball early in the game because he has done that, but then they could come out and still win the game. So I'm still going to take Hurts. I think Hurts is the obvious answer here, but I wouldn't be surprised if we only see like one interception the whole game and it was Mahomes that threw an early pick. I wouldn't be surprised, especially the way that the Eagles secondary has been playing. This season, I think their secondary has played great, and their turnover margin plus 27 on the plus side of turnover margin in the games after their fifth game. So that is a good question. I think it's a coin flip based on those stats. Let's go into. I got some more stats for you guys. This is for the Eagles. Okay, get ready for this one. Hurts already has the most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in the postseason, which is 9. Another score will make him the 9th player all time to reach 10. Only 2 players have done that in the 21st century. Marshawn Lynch with 12 and LeGarrette Blount with 11. The Eagles need 27 points for the most in a single postseason in NFL history. The record was set by 1994 49ers, which was 131 points, and they achieved the mark in one less game. So with the extra game, I guess, in the postseason, because back then the top 2 teams would get a bye. This season, as of last year, or was it the year before? It's only one team gets the bye. So the Niners, they did it when they were, I believe they were the number 1 seed in 1994. There have been 36 players that set at least 75 targets in coverage this season, including the playoffs. Dejan and Mitchell rank 2nd and 3rd, respectively, in yards per target allowed, as the nearest defender in coverage, trailing the Texans' Derek Stingling Jr. per the NFL stats. So very interesting. That's right. The Eagles defense has been very solid. We mentioned that. Another stat: Barkley needs 30 yards to surpass Terrell Davis's 1998 record for most rushing yards in a single season, including playoffs. Since Steve Spagnuolo became the Chiefs defensive coordinator in 2019, Kansas City has not allowed any player to rush for 100 yards against them in the playoffs. So there we go with the comment about Barkley needing 300 yards for the Eagles to win. The Chiefs have not allowed 100 yards in any playoff game since Steve Spagnuolo has been the defensive coordinator. And then one more stat I'll give you. The Eagles finished the regular season with more rushing attempts, which was 621, than pass attempts, 448. Out of the first 40 Super Bowl champions, 33 had more rushes than pass attempts in their Super Bowl winning seasons. That's 83%. Since 2006, the 2013, my team, the Seattle Seahawks, are the only team to do that. That's interesting because the Eagles are a running team, They run way more, than they do passing plays, but that's not kind of the formula for winning Super Bowls. So Seattle's the only team, I guess, to do that back in 2013. Very, very interesting stats here. What do you got on that? On those stats? Those are stats that kind of lead you to for bets, right? So
yeah, I mean
betting.
those are some interesting stats, and I didn't know that as far as the running back in the Super Bowl. I didn't know that majority of the teams that win, they don't run the ball that often. Because if you think about teams like the Ravens, you think about teams like Philly, and some of the other teams that runs the ball a lot. The statistic is they will never win the Super Bowl because they run the ball too much.
Yeah.
So that is very interesting that you mentioned that, and I don't think that Saquon Barkley is going to rush for no 150 yards. A lot of people think that he will. I think he's going to get somewhere around 70 or 80 yards because I didn't know that about Steve Spagnuolo as well, but he does have a good run defense. His pass defense is what's been suspect as far as his team as of this year. It's been the pass defense, but his run defense has been very good this year.
Yeah, that's a good point, and it has been. But when the playoffs come, Spagnuolo seems to kind of, when you give him time to game plan, he finds a way to take away your strongest asset. He tries to take that away. So, very intrigued to see what their game plan is for today, and stopping the Eagles' running game. It's not just Saquon Barkley, even though Saquon Barkley is the star and he's been great, but Jalen Hurts as well. He always finds a way, especially sometimes a second and third down when he's dropping back and then it's a draw play and he breaks out and finds a first down. So those design running plays that the Eagles do have been pretty successful when they run it, and they've been inconsistent on picking those plays. Sometimes I slap myself in the top of my head when I see them drop back and pass on second down when they just ran for like 5 yards. So that's going to be intriguing to see, how these coaches, manage the games and the play calling.
Yeah, and another thing too. This might be the last year that Philadelphia can do the push cush because they talking about they might end up banning it because of what the referee said in that playoff game against Washington. They was about to award Philadelphia a touchdown and they didn't even move the ball. They was about to award them a touchdown. So they looking into that this offseason, and so it might be banned. They might no longer can do it, or they can't line up the way they've been lining up. It might have to be a different type of lineup. So I don't know what's going to come about that, but this might be the last year that y'all see that. I think if they're at the 1 yard line and the game is on the line and Philadelphia do the push cush and beat Kansas City, 9 times out of 10 push cush is going to get banned. It's going to get banned.
Yeah. I don't have a big problem with the tush push play. I think my main concern is the consistency of the refs calling calling plays dead on what do you call it? I can't find the word. Where when they have the piles and they're pushing and then they whistle it or they let the play go on. Forward progress. That's what I'm saying. That's my main concern. I think the inconsistency of the refs. Now, I don't agree with them banning the play. I think they should still do the formation, do it. I have a problem with them pushing and carrying another player over the goal line. And we've seen that in college football as well. That's my problem. Now, if you're going to let them do that, then you gotta call it on the forward progress as well. Because we've seen times in the forward progress where, guys get stopped and then there's like a big kind of not pylon where they stack up and you got the offensive line pushing and the NFL line, they pushing and it's like a tug of war, but it's a push, right? And where they blow the play dead and then all of a sudden the runner breaks free for like 4 yards and then vice versa. I think they need to be more consistent when calling forward progress and whistling those plays dead.
Me personally, what I think is if the player legs stop moving, that the play is done. It's over. Stop it
Yeah.
right then and there. Don't allow the offensive lineman to push him forward
Yes.
because what they do is his legs might stop, but because he's on top of somebody else, they push him forward so they give him the forward progress. No, if his legs stop moving, that play needs to stop right then and there. I don't care if he got the first down or he didn't. It needs to stop
agree.
right there.
I agree. They should do that, and I think referees need to be held accountable for when they don't whistle those plays dead. Because another issue too, which is not being mentioned, is that injuries happen off of that too. So the referees got to do a better job at whistling those plays dead and be more consistent with it. So as far as the tush push is concerned, I just want to see more consistency. Maybe not allow to push Hurts over the end zone. Like, you have the two running backs behind him and they push him in. But, he's got to do the quarterback sneak himself, right? Because it's an advantage, right? And the offense is going to definitely have the advantage in every time because they're the ones that have the cadence, right? And they call the snaps. The defensive line is going on the ball movement, and only those front four defenders can see the ball being pushed. The linebackers and the corners, they're going off of the offensive line movement, and that's kind of like a half a second too late. So the offensive line and the offensive players are going to definitely have the advantage every time. So there's no need for anybody to push the players over. Let them just do it, off of the blocking.
You know what I don't like as well with that whole the ruling of the push cush. They don't allow a lineman to jump over the center, and I don't understand why. I don't understand why they don't allow the lineman to jump over the center. Like when Frankie Louis did it, and they threw a flag on him. They gave him a flag. I don't know. I didn't hear what the call was because I was calling the game, so I had the volume down. So I didn't hear what the call was, but they gave him a flag because he jumped over the center. And I understand they don't allow you to line up on the center when you're kicking a field goal, but that wasn't a field goal. That was an actual play. You can have a nose tackle. If your defensive line has a nose tackle, the nose tackle lines up over the center. I don't understand why they can't jump over the center. So, I mean, it need to be a little more clear across the board as far as what you can do and what you can't do and how the play is being called if they're going to allow it to continue going on, because the offense has the advantage in that situation. For one, all of the linemen are lined up real close together and they right over top of the ball. And then you got the two running backs or a tight end and a running back behind the quarterback waiting to push the quarterback across the line that they're trying to get to, whether it's a first down or a touchdown. So the disadvantages is to the defense already, and then you're not allowing them to be able to get to the quarterback. There's no way for them to get to the quarterback when everybody's bunched up like that. The only way they can get to him is by jumping over top.
Yeah, I agree. I think it goes well in hand to what we're saying about consistency. Like, I can understand the field goals, but then sometimes they don't even call that. Seattle lost the game this year to the Giants where they jumped over the center and they did it clean, right? So the rule is you can jump over the center as long as you don't use leverage or a player's leverage or the offensive lineman's leverage to jump over, right? But then you can't do it on a defensive running play or a pass play. So I don't understand that. There's got to be more clarity and like more, on what the rule is and more consistency as well as far as like how they officiate these plays. And I don't think we're seeing that, consistently in games and in the playoffs, and I agree with you. Like, you should be allowed to do that. If it's banned, then it's got to be banned across the board for all types of plays. So I don't get it. I think they need to look into the rules. They already have all these rules in place to protect the players, especially the offensive players, but, for those that played football, especially with equipment and tackle football, in my opinion, for me, and I played football as well, the offensive player has the advantage every time, right? Because they know the cadence, they know this, they know what the plays are being called. The defensive player is just going off of, what they think is going to be played, or with the formation, or, the way, maybe the way they're lined up, or the way the lineman has their legs lined up on the inside, the outside, all these special things. But the offensive player has all the advantages So they got to put these rules in place to kind of level the playing field because, the tush push, that adds to the advantage of the offensive player. Where the defensive player can't jump over and kind of time the snap and jump over the center, that helps the offense. Like, they gotta look at these plays and and have some more clarity on what can and cannot be done, and then officiate it accordingly, consistently.
Yeah.
So what's good? Everybody in the chat, I see you guys. I'm sorry, we're just up here talking about the game. ATX 41 Red, salute. Skywalker, salute. Kui, salute. Southern T, salute. Master Debater. That's for you, D Free. You're the master debater.
Hey, that's what they call me.
The master debater. Yeah, man. I mean, this game's going to be a good game. I guess we'll make our predictions and we'll say good day, mate, and we'll move on. I just wanted to get on and talk about it because I didn't get to go on live, and we did a live on BBO's channel the other night. We talked about the game, and we talked about is the game scripted, and we say that in fun, but we got to say these things because as fans we're not dumb as well. We see what's going on, and that's referring to like the penalties that are being called, especially late in the game. That's favored one team more than the other, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs. So is the game scripted? No, but we're not dumb. We see things. We see things happening, and as fans, don't insult our intelligence, right?
I would definitely say I would say no. It's not scripted, but it is favoritism. I would say that much. It is favoritism.
Yep, I agree. But yeah, man. So I wanted to do this live. Just do a little preview. The game's going to start in about an hour and a half, I guess, or something like that. Wanted to introduce the Sports Talk Network. We're kind of like grouping up, and it's just strictly sports. It's not anything. It's not a particular group. It's not a particular band. It's not a particular clique. It's just we just gathered today, and we're just doing something that we all love, and that's talking sports and boxing. And boxing is a sport, but we have to say and boxing because boxing to me is just a separate sport that we can focus on and break down because there's so many individual fights and individual things that's happening, so special shout out to the Sports Talk Network. We're trying to do some things here and just keep it strictly sports, strictly whether it's football, baseball, basketball, boxing, that's what we're trying to do, and we're trying to focus on that, have good conversation. We invite people to come up, have conversations with us, not have arguments, but kind of friendly debates where it's your opinion against my opinion against this guy's opinion, and we have fun with it and break down the games, we break down the sports, we break down the competitions, the best to our knowledge, what I'm saying? And I wanted to get on here. Salute to everybody in the Sports Talk Network. Salute to my man D Free, and yeah,
I just thought about boxing is the only sport that we talk where it's solely on one person because we don't talk about golf, we don't talk about tennis. Boxing is the only sport that we talk about that's solely on one player or one person. All of these other sports we talk about, it's a team effort. You could say one person might have cost them the game or whatever, or one person won them the game, but it's a team effort. Without the other players, that team get beat. So boxing is the only one where you could say it's all on him. Whether he win or lose, it's on him for the most part.
Yeah, yes, indeed. And and boxing is fun as far as there's so many different things, and now with social media, and you got camps, you got managers, agents, promotions, there's a lot of different things of the sport of boxing that we can speak about as well. And I just want to go back and just say, like, I want to focus more, and I think what this group wants to do is focus more on everything and just pick a little topic here, pick a little topic there, and not just focus on one particular fighter or one particular team or one particular athlete, and just have good conversation, have fun with it, and share some knowledge. We could go back in time, do some history, and I think that's what our focus is going to be from now on, and just have fun. And we're going to invite anybody to come up and have these conversations with us. Nobody's right and nobody's wrong. Maybe BVO is wrong 89% of the time, but still have fun with it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, because if you think about it, boxing, I mean, for the most part, boxing is only exciting if we're getting the fights that we want. It's not like football or basketball, because we know what matchup we get. We know eventually the Lakers got to play against Boston, or they got to play against the Dallas Mavericks, or they got to play against Oklahoma City. We know that those games are going to happen. With boxing, it's literally, well, you got to make the fight. If he doesn't make the fight, we never will see that fight. And same thing with football. We know we're going to get certain matchups. Boxing is the only one that it's up to the fighter whether we get that matchup or not. And so when you dealing with a sport that's built off of that, sometimes it's not as exciting to talk about the sport because you're not really into it, because you're not getting what you want. Now, these other fights are good fights. I'm not saying these fights are bad fights. These other fights are good fights, but it's not the actual fight that you want to see. But that's why I said when it comes to boxing, I mean, when it comes to football and basketball, you're going to get a matchup. Now, will a matchup pan out the way you think? Most of the time it doesn't, but a lot of times it does because they're the best teams. So when we get this boxing matchups, we gotta worry about, is the promoter going to deal with that promoter? Is the fighter wanting to get in the ring with that fighter? Is they going to pay these fighters the money they want for the matchup to happen? So there's a lot of moving parts in order for you to get the fight that you want. When it comes to football and basketball, you ain't got to worry about the moving parts. They're going to play regardless if that person is on the team or not. They're going to play.
Absolutely. And I think that's what we want to focus on, talking about other sports as well, and just break those down. And there's a lot more games, being played, a lot more matchups where, guys, in boxing, you could have undefeated fighters or fighters that lose one or two times. But in sports games and teams, you hardly, you're going to see more losses, and you're going to see more losses on upsets than you do in regular sports than in boxing, right? And I just think it's more fun that way. I love this comment right here. In boxing, they do more talking than fighting. But I'm going to add to that one and say, imagine that in boxing they do more talking than fighting, and then you have constant and numerous boxing channels that talk boxing and talking about those fighters that are talking more than fighting. So now we got more talking, and it really comes irrelevant as to what's going on in the actual sport when you have guys out there that are really fighting and really trying to do something in the sport, and we should be talking about them. You know what I'm saying? And those
we spend more time talking about fights that we want to happen than talking about fights that's actually happening. We spend way more time talking about fights that we want to happen.
And I think it's just better. What we're trying to do is trying to support the people that are fighting, and especially the younger prospects and the ones that are trying to make it, because it's a tough and rough business. I've seen fighters who's got great records, but they're not getting the opportunities. They're not getting opportunities like certain fighters that getting the opportunities. They're getting paid. They're under big promotions, and getting nice little bags, but they're not fighting who we want to see. And then you have guys who are working hard in the gym, sparring those guys in the gym, but they're not getting the fights. And I think we need to promote those guys and help them get in the fight so we could get, more,
That's the reason why my pound for pound is usually a lot different from everybody else, because I know there's fighters that don't get the opportunity that other fighters get.
Yep, absolutely. So, and we're going to be discussing that more this week. I'm not sure what the schedule is as far as my channel is concerned. But I will definitely be at the press conference this Wednesday for Keyshawn Davis and Baranchek here in Madison Square Garden. I'll be at the weigh-in most likely, and I'll definitely be at the fight Friday night. So I will not go live Friday night, but I'll probably go live for the press conference and the weigh-in. So stay tuned for that. D Free will probably go live. D Free, I believe you got a new show that you're gonna do like every other day, like a new series.
Yeah, I got a new series coming out. Is called Let's Talk About It, and we're going to be talking about all sports. It's not just boxing or just football. We're going to be talking about not all sports, but the major sports that we talk about on a regular basis: football, basketball, and boxing. Those are the major sports that I normally talk about. I don't really talk too much about baseball or hockey or anything like that. I'm mainly only talk about boxing, football, and basketball. And we're going to be talking about different topics, whether it's an actual matchup coming up or it's something going down behind the scenes, as far as what these new rules coming out for the NFL, the trade. I mean the free agency coming up for the NFL, the draft. We got March Madness coming up, so we're gonna be talking about a lot of different things. So that's why it's called Let's Talk About It, because it's going to be stuff that we're going to talk about that we normally don't talk about on a regular basis.
I love it. I love it. I think that's going to be excellent, especially when, because after today, right? So after today, Super Bowl football season is over, right? So we can now focus on free agency. There's a lot of good free agents that's going to come out. So you just said it. We could talk about the free agent. That's dope. I'm going to look into baseball. We can start talking baseball. I'm going to try to do some rankings as per position for fantasy baseball, for guys that do fantasy baseball. And then, so I'm going to do some little videos on that. So yeah, I think that's going to be great. As well as we got other people as well that come on and talk and give their opinion as well. So, look out for that. That's what we're going to be doing. And that's going to be our focus. We're going to work together as a team, and you might see us go live at the same time, but it's the same channel. So we're going to be streaming from different platforms as well. So, and we're just going to have fun with it, man. Like genuine fun and genuine conversation. No, silliness. We're going to welcome people to come on and join, and, we're going to keep it respectful, but most importantly, keep it fun, and if you're not down with that, then, you can go to those other, them other channels and do what y'all do. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, and that's the reason why I changed the name of my channel, because majority of the people that I deal with, we all talking about boxing, and most of the time it's the same topic on every channel. You might go to another channel and they might be talking about something different, but at some point it's going to get back to the main topic that everybody's talking about. So I just got tired of talking about the same stuff every single day. So I want to change it up, because I'm not just a boxing supporter. I'm also a fan of the NBA. I'm a fan of the NFL. So I watch a lot of different sports. Like I said, I watch baseball. I watch hockey. I just don't follow it as close as I do football and basketball, but I watch it. So there's stuff that I know about baseball and hockey that I can conversate about. But the more focus is NBA and NFL. So that's why I said it's going to be the series is Let's Talk About It, because it's going to be a lot of different stuff. Somebody might have did something and got arrested. We're going to talk about it. It's like I said, it's not going to be just sport related. It's going to be based off the sport, because these athletes are in the sport. But it could be something that they're doing behind the scenes that got them in trouble. We're going to talk about it.
I like it, man, and I love it. Shout out to my man Jose on fire at Tell Us About That Boxing. He says TD Sports Talks the premier location for all sports talk. Like, subscribe, share. I appreciate you, Jose. Go and subscribe to my man Jose at Tell Us About That Boxing. He is literally behind the scenes. He has a lot of experience as far as covering boxing. He's got interviews with Hall of Fame fighters. He's got great experience. He knows how to, put out great content and great interviews. So go follow Jose at Tell Us About That Boxing. I've had him here. We had him here at the show. I'm looking to do that again, Jose. Maybe not this week. Maybe next week we'll set something up. We'll do a little interview again, and we'll talk about you and we'll talk about your career. I believe you're looking to fight again as well. He fought in the Golden Gloves and the amateurs, so he's thinking about going back to fighting. So maybe we could talk about that, Jose. So go subscribe to Tell Us About That Boxing. He'll be at the press conference as well, and he'll be giving great footage, from the press conference, interviewing fighters for this Friday's card. So definitely go subscribe to Tell Us About That Boxing. So we're gonna close up real quick. We're gonna do our predictions. D-Free, who wins and what's your score?
I'm going to go Kansas City 27-23.
Jesus, that's the exact same score I was going to pick. So I swear to God, I was going to pick 27-20 or 27-23. But you know what? I'm going to go 27-20. That's because Elliott's going to miss a field goal, and that's why I won't be 23, because Elliott's been kind of shaky with the field goal. So let's go. I got the Chiefs 27-20. How about that? So that means they cover the spread. The Chiefs are favored 1.5, and I believe the over-under is 50-something. 56, I believe. I got to look that up. But either way, 27-20 or 27-23 is way less. So that means we got the Chiefs and the under for today's Super Bowl.
And we need to change something too. And I'm gonna start a petition on my channel. We need to change having a winner. It can go down as a tie. We have a dual winner, because I want both these teams to lose. I don't like you. I want both these teams to lose.
I feel you.
I don't want Patrick Mahomes to be the first quarterback to get 3 in a row, and I don't want the Philadelphia Eagles to win another Super Bowl, because I got to listen to them all next year. So, I want both these teams to lose.
I definitely want both teams to lose, but I got to root for the Chiefs. I want the Chiefs to win because I just can't, being a New Yorker from the Bronx, I just can't root for Philly. I just can't see Philly winning again and dealing with the Philly media. No way, no how. I guess a lot of Eagle fans here. I know a couple of them. I don't want to hear their mouth. Great people, very good friends of mine, talking about Brett.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hear Marky Dan and Prize for a whole year neither. I'm not trying to hear them for a whole year neither.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to hear Marky Dan. I don't want to hear Brett or any Eagle fan. So I'm really hoping the Chiefs win. And you know what? I'm gonna be a jerk. I hope the Chiefs win on some BS call too, because that will hurt more. So that will hurt.
Brett gonna go live immediately and be cussing.
That's gonna hurt him so much more if the Eagles lose on a bad call or something. So, oh man, the complaining we would hear. But that's all we got, guys. That's all I got. D-Free, if you got anything. If not, we'll go sign off. There is a good.
I appreciate everybody coming through. Everybody, make sure y'all hit that like button. And if y'all catch this on the playback, subscribe if you're not subscribed.
Absolutely. Please like, share, subscribe. Definitely comment. Let me know who you think is going to win. Let me know what you thought of the live. Let me know if I made a mistake. Let me know if I missed something. Anything, let me know. There is a slim chance that I may be live again tonight with D-Free. I'm trying to book an interview for later tonight. The person emailed me back, said he can do Sunday. I'm just seeing if he'd let me know a time. So he's got a very busy schedule. The person I'm trying to interview, I don't want to say his name, but if he does get back to me today and he gives me a time, I'm definitely going to live. Even if the Super Bowl is on, I'm definitely going to go live and do the interview with this guy, because I believe, he's a really interesting person to speak to, and he's got a lot to say. So let's put it that way. So hopefully that happens. If not, we'll see you guys throughout the week.
All right, that's about.
All right, guys. Take care. God bless. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Enjoy your rest of your Sunday. And we'll catch you guys later. Be safe.
You took your boots off, you put your feet on the table. You shit-kicking, stinky horse-smelling motherfucker, you. You fucked me up over there. I'll stick you in a hole in the fucking desert. You understand? Over here and apologize. Yeah, get the fuck.